All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Coffee with the Freight Coach. My name is Chris Jolly. I am your host, and I am the Freight Coach. Before we jump into today's episode, as always, thank you guys so much for coming out and listening to this podcast. This is the long form interview version of all the content that I put out there. I think it's beneficial to explain to you that I have multiple shows that are out here. I have my daily live show that I go and break down industry headlines and provide education and insight for you guys to apply. And then I also have long form interviews where I sit down with other transportation professionals to talk about their experiences, what they do on the day-to-day, and how there are multiple opportunities that are out there. If this is your first time listening though, welcome. Again, this is the real side of freight. There is no thought leaders who are trying to come into this industry. This is brought to you by transportation professionals every single day, day in and day out. We bleed freight. All right. That's the best way to put it. I got a small favor to ask. If you guys are not subscribed, hit pause, back out, subscribe, and share this out there if you see value in it. Because if you see value in it, your network's going to see value in it as well. And that's how this has all grown over these past 2 years. We are on an absolute roll. We are not going to stop, nor will we be stopped, because we are all about educating everybody on this industry and providing value-based content for you guys to use out there. I got a very special guest for you guys today. I've had a pleasure of meeting this gentleman out in Orlando earlier this year. They're on board. They're part of the Freight Coach family now. They believed in the message that I'm putting out there, and I appreciate the support that my friends at SPI Logistics have given me to align with myself to build out all of this stuff that we're doing here. So I have the VP of Sales and Operations, Mr. Mike Mikulik, here with me today. So Mike, thank you so much for joining me.
Hey, thanks for having me, man. I'm excited to be on here. I love what you're doing, and I'm so glad we're partnering together, Chris.
Dude, me too. It was awesome meeting out in Orlando. It's like when you go to some conferences, man, you just never know how they're gonna go at the end of the day. Like I'm a new member to the TMSA and everything, and I was like, yeah, sure, I'll go out there. It's in Orlando. I can bring my wife and my kid. They can go to Disney. I'd love to be a part of it. And then I met you guys and so many other quality freight professionals that were at that event. And I'm so like, I love being a part of that organization. I'm looking forward to, future conferences of theirs.
Me too. I love the fact that everyone's open to dialogue and trying to figure out what each other's synergies are. I came out of there way more knowledgeable than I was going into it, especially on the marketing side of things. And you know what? You and I got to meet. Yeah. And I'll tell you, as soon as we started chatting, I knew this was going to be a great partnership, and we're rocking and rolling, man. We're ready for it.
Dude, I love it, man. So I start almost every episode like this, Mike. How did you get your start in freight? Like, what brought you into this industry?
Oh man, how long of the story? How long time do we have here? I'm going to try and keep this thing short without having to show how old I am. But yeah, I've been in this business a long time. Actually, I started off in the airline industry right out of high school. I thought I was going to go back and do some post-secondary schooling, but then I got a job in the airlines, sitting there and building flight plans and doing load planning for all the cargo planes going out overseas, and I fell in love with it, loved it. And then from there, broke my wheels in on the freight forwarding side, focusing on the international business. And it was interesting. It was fast paced and moving. And I thought that's where I wanted to be. But I'll tell you, North American trucking is the way it's at, man. Everyone has a shipment that needs to be moved. It's fast paced. There's lots of movements that are taking place, and I love it, man. So I've been doing this now for just under 30 years.
Yeah, dude.
Had different roles. It's fun. You know what I like about it? It is still a relationship business.
I know.
People like you and they trust you. They'll work with you. And if you keep back to those simple dynamics, that's how you win in this business.
No, I'm right there with you. I think like at times we try and overcomplicate what we're actually trying to do. And it does boil down to those simple, transparent conversations that you need to have with your customers. It's not fun. I don't like having those conversations. I never liked it. But at the end of the day, my book of business never grew when trucks showed up on time. I know like some people that might be a mind twister for you, but like that's the expectation. You know what I mean? My market share grew when things fell apart, how I communicated the solutions that I provided and working with them, because most people, when it comes to conflict, they run the other way. And I get it. Conflict isn't fun, but in this industry, you got to dig your heels in and you have to be there, because the second you don't answer their phone, the second they pick up the phone of your competitors and they're ready to give all of your business to them.
Absolutely. You can't be scared to have those ugly conversations with customers, and you know what? They appreciate it too.
Yeah. Absolutely, man. So SPI, freight agents, that's like, it's been around for a long time. Obviously, you guys have been around for 40 years. The agent model has been a thing, but I don't necessarily know a ton about it, or, I didn't know a lot about it up until probably the last like 12 to 18 months, when I think a lot of individuals, myself included, was like, what am I going to do with the rest of my life? There's all of this uncertainty that's out there. And frankly, like, you're still seeing it today with everything that's going on in the economy. There's a lot of companies who are mass laying off people right now. And it almost brings me back to a point that I accepted in March of 2020, when I had nothing going on and I needed to figure out on my own, is no one's going to take care of me but me. So why don't I go all in on myself? And it's a scary road, don't get me wrong, but like,
Big time.
how many times are you talking with people and that's what they want? They want to take control of their future. It's not just their financial future. They want to take control of their future because they've played the games that are out there. We don't need to go into details, but we've all experienced it at some point in our career.
Absolutely. You know, the thing is that you got to go all in, man. And if you believe in yourself and you were successful in the last role that you had, even if you were working and you got a guaranteed paycheck all the time, you will be that much more successful in the agent model. You know what? We tell our agents this all the time, and they start talking about this at our company rendezvous. It's a license to print money, being an agent. It truly is. You control your own destiny. It's how hard you work is going to yield how much you're going to sit there and make. And when you're making up commissions upwards of up to 75% of the gross profit with no financial risk whatsoever, utilizing the best freight technology in the business, a company like ours taking on all the financial risk, having a back office support that has your back for carrier onboarding, dealing with disputes, dealing with carrier hostage loads. Why not? Yeah. It's awesome. These guys and some of our agents are making money that they probably never would have thought they would have ever made in their lives. And they're loving it. They'll go nowhere else. They wouldn't do it any other way.
I think like there needs to be an emphasis on back office support, because it's like, I've worked at one of the largest freight brokerages in North America, where we had a guy for everything. We had compliance, we had insurance, we had finance, we had credit, we had everything for us. But then I went and worked in a pure startup environment where we had nothing. All right. We went out on our own. Well, I didn't, my buddy did. And the first 2 years was like pulling teeth, because we at times we weren't factored. So companies wouldn't work with us because we didn't have any credit score, rightfully so. I wouldn't want to do business with somebody who couldn't pay their bills. So I get it, or didn't have a proven track record of not being able to pay their bills. Absolutely. So you find yourself in that. Your insurance premiums are extremely high. Your introductory rates to a lot of things on the front end are very high. And now I'm not saying like you can't do it and figure it out and make it work, but there's options out there, because I think it almost creates a hesitancy, Mike. Once people start adding up everything, they're like, maybe I don't want to go into business, because there's a lot of risk that's out there. That's like what none of the gurus who are all over social media want to talk about, is like your ass is on the line literally 24/7, 365 with this stuff. But there are alternatives out there for you to partner with people where, you know what? They got you for insurance, which is a major expense. Again, not saying it can't be done, but if you find yourself in that position, or you're a sales rep right now, and you know what, frankly, you don't want to take on that risk, because again, I say this frequently. If you aren't 1,000% committed to being an entrepreneur and 1,000% ready to lose everything tomorrow, don't do it. Or like at all. Don't go down this road. It's a lot of sleepless nights and everything else that happen, but there are alternatives that are out there. And I think like sometimes people, they find themselves in this position. They're like, oh, I got a non-compete. I got this, I got that. I'm stuck. I need to do this, but it's like and this is what is so appealing to me about the freight agent model, is that you literally are your own entity inside of this. I equate it like this, is it's almost like it's an owner operator who owns their own truck but they're leased onto somebody who helps them run their back office, because, that's what my dad did. He tried building up his organization. He had a bunch of shit happen. He had like 6 trucks at one time. Some events happened and he's like sold everything. He's like, I'm just worrying about myself. There are people that are out there that have those arrangements already in place. And you can just, like you said, you can essentially start printing money day one.
Absolutely. It's interesting though, because there's even small 3PLs that are doing under $20 million a year that are, have a great business. They have great customers, but the moment that bad debt starts to happen, man, it can sink a company quickly. Then you got to take a look at what the aspect of how much it costs for technology to have robust technology to work in this industry. And there's a price that goes with that. I think there's even a market for even having small 3PLs holding on to the integrity of their company name and utilizing a back office support company like ourselves or another agency that gives them the best technology, takes on all the financial risk, cuts out their receivables and payables. All that headcount costs money. And if you can eliminate that and just do your freight from cradle to grave and hold on to your relationship and to your integrity of your name, you're laughing.
Yeah. And that's exactly it. It's like, I think a lot of business owners, so like I talk about this frequently, about not quitting under any circumstances. And I know that at times you find yourself in situations where you're looking for, I kind of equate it like this, man, you're bringing on a strategic partner. You're bringing on somebody who can help you navigate through, like right now, there's a market shift that's undeniably happening out there. Some people who may have done 30, 40 million over the last couple of years are now finding themselves where, you know what? Again, another thing I say frequently, there's no playbook to entrepreneurship. You might have mismanaged your cash. All right. You're finding yourself in one of those situations. So instead of, I might have to lay people off, it's like, look into something like this. There are strategic partnerships that are out there that can take that cost burden of technology off your plate, of insurance off your plate, and everything else. And then frankly, you guys might have better insurance already. And then that's going to increase their pool of customers that they can actually start moving freight for. Because I've had that happen. Hey, you don't carry 250? Yeah, we're not working with you. You don't carry 500,000? Yeah, we're not working with you. You know what I mean? So it's like, those are like, it opens up another door of opportunity for you.
Absolutely. And when you're working for a small company or trying to do this on yourself, try to find carriers that are willing to partner with you. They're looking at your carrier score, how you treat carriers. I mean, there's enough reviews on there about companies and who are the ones that you should be working with and the ones that you want to stay away from. Definitely taking the time to make sure you're partnering with a company that's got a good carrier record and the carriers want to work with.
Yeah. And that's another thing to do. So it's like, what if there's somebody out there right now, maybe they are an agent for someone else, or they're thinking about becoming an agent, they're fielding phone calls. What are some questions that you feel that they should be asking to ensure that they're protected? Because I know that's a big emphasis of your guys is we need to know, we need our agents and prospective agents to know that we are protecting them as well. Like this isn't a one-sided thing.
100%. That's a good question, Chris. I think the first one is who takes on the financial risk. I mean, there are agencies out there that'll say, yes, you know what, we'll take on financial risk. But the moment the customer doesn't pay, they'll sit there and push back part of the loss back to the agent, depending on the commission split. I think that's a good one. Is it really fully no financial risk on my end as an agent? The next thing, I mean, there are a lot of really big agencies out there that do a great job. But if you're coming in there and you're looking to grow your business, I think a big question to ask is, what's the saturation like within your agency? If you're coming in there and you're working for a large company, you're trying to go after business, yet all those other customers are locked up by other agents, you're going to have a hard time trying to sit there and manage and grow your business. So I think that's a huge question to ask. And the next thing is back office support. I mean, when you have an issue, have a problem, or you're left on your own, or you actually have an agent support team or a client care team that has your back, that's going to help you onboard a carrier, get stuff moved through the system, get credit set up after hours. And after hours is a big question too.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff happens, and that's where a lot of agents make big money, is when stuff happens after hours or on the weekend where there's an urgent shipment. But if the agent can't get a hold of anybody back at the corporate office or at agent support to help get credit set up or at a carrier approved in the system, that's lost money. And agents don't like it when they lose out on opportunities, because they're under the mindset of what you kill is what you eat. So they're always hungry to sit there and move a load. I think those are key questions to ask. And you know what, another thing too, and I think this is one thing we've done a really good job at SPI is, you know what, our whole executive team is heavily involved with our agents. Meaning, you know what, in order for them to grow, we need to help them grow. We need to be there to support them, do joint calls with them on new business opportunities. You know what, as an agent, they're usually, most times they're sitting in their home office, slugging freight every single day. So for them to try to get out and go and see their customers, it's the challenge. But if you help them go out there, meet the customers face to face, break bread with them, build on that relationship, you always find other opportunities that they can sit there and capitalize on. And a big thing we've really pushed with our agents, and we've seen phenomenal success, which actually I would say helped us through COVID when things kind of slowed down the first little while, was the aspect of those deep selling relationships that we had and the freight that started coming on board because we invested the time in seeing the customers, requalifying them, finding out who else within their organization is moving freight and getting those warm introductions. That helped out a lot.
No, definitely. There's a lot to unpack with what you just said there. I want to start with back office support. I want to talk about insurance claims in particular, because if you've never had to file an insurance claim before, there are very particular steps you need to follow to ensure that you are protected. I know that we like to think that our insurance carriers have our best interest in mind, but they have their company. They need to not pay that claim. And if you made a mistake and it's now on you, like, you are liable to pay for that stuff in most instances. So it's like, to me, it's like walking them through and having that after hour support for insurance claims. So like, do you guys offer education courses for them on that? Or if there's a claim, boom, ping the after hour support team and they take it from there?
Yeah, we ping our after hour support team, but we actually have an insurance claim department that actually handles the claims on behalf of our agents. I mean, obviously, as we've grown, you see more and more claims that are coming through, but we take on that process. And you know what? Claims take up a lot of time, and you really want your agent focusing on a claim when they can be sitting there and building a relationship with the new customer and bringing more revenue and profit into the company. We'll sit there and take that on in-house so the agent can sit there and focus on what he does best, which is making money.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't think most people realize how long the claim process actually takes. Cause like I've got some dirty hands in this. I've been at this game for a long time, you guys. I've seen some shit. And I know that processing claims is no less than a 90-day cycle, no less.
Exactly.
And you are out there, you have to have all the right documentation in line. You have to have pictures, paperwork, written statements, all of this stuff. It's not just well, they rejected the load, get rid of it. No. It's a lot more in depth than that. And you need people to walk you through that, because otherwise, again, these are things that cost you money. And then another thing it costs you is that time that Mike's alluding to right there. And time is the only resource we can't replace. Money, renewable resource. Like I said, we can print that shit every single day, but you can't get back that time that you need to invest. And then furthermore, a seamless claims process, another opportunity to grow with your customer base. All right. Because a lot of people out there don't have that figured out, and it turns into an absolute nightmare. Then you become too big of a pain in the ass to work with. Therefore, they will shut you off because of that. And again, no fault of your own, things happen, but this is why you need to be talking with agencies that you are looking into about situations that are just like that. You guys have a claims and insurance department, after hour support. Reality of building a book of business, you guys. The first load you get is not going to be pick up at 11 a.m. on a Tuesday, deliver noon on Wednesday, first come, first serve, 500 miles, perfect. It's going to be pick up Friday night, holiday weekend, deliver Sunday at 5 p.m. And then you need support. Your credit needs to be activated. Your carrier is going to be a brand new carrier for that load. You're going to have to get them reactivated. And you need that behind the scenes coverage to build a successful book of business.
100%. One other thing that's interesting about the agent model too, Chris, is that these guys are doing business from cradle to grave. So they're getting the customer, they're finding the carrier, they're monitoring the carrier, they're following it all the way through. When there's a problem, guess what? The customer is dealing with one person. And if he has one person that he's building that relationship with, and you were there to take a call late on a Friday night or on a Saturday morning when you're having coffee with your wives and get things done, that's what creates the loyalty. That's the stickiness factor with the customer.
No, and that's exactly it, man. I think at times, like, technology is great. And I do not want to understate the value of proper technology, but being a real partner for your customer will always supersede anything else you can do. Because again, when things fall apart, because that's the unfortunate beauty of transportation. It's not if, it's when things fall apart. You got to be there for them. You need those, and you need a plan. All right. Like, you can't just say, hey, this happened, deal with it. No, you need a plan. You need support to go through it and solidify that, because that's where your market share is going to grow. 9 times out of 10, you will gain more freight from your customers in a time of disaster than you ever will if you do 100% on time for the next 3 years.
Exactly. I 100% agree with you on that. It's true.
Dude, so what are some things that you think, like from an education standpoint? Because like this is one thing that I like, and Mike and I were talking before we recorded, and Mike and I talk frequently, but like you're out there with your agents and you're willing to go on customer visits for them. Have you guys identified that, hey, sometimes maybe it's not the agents, but like collectively speaking, that customer sales training hasn't been afforded to them in their past? They know how to sell, but hey, I've never been at an RFP meeting before where 8 VPs of supply chain of a Fortune 500 company are going to shred me. That support.
100%. So it's interesting because a lot of our agents come with a strong operational background. So when it comes to finding carriers and dealing with complex shipments, they're phenomenal at it. They can sit there and handle things from cradle to grave with no issues. And a lot of them have built their book of business, based on relationships. And some of them have never seen their customers before in their life, but they're best friends with them because they sit there and converse with them over the phone. But the thing is once you get them out in front of their customer, and like I said, meeting them face to face, it's funny. There's actually, I went on one call and the customer had never met the agent before in his life. And they were dealing with them for 5+ years. And they were like hugging and like crying. It was like, oh my goodness, they were best friends. But the moment they saw each other face to face, broke bread, it just brings everything together. And you know what? A lot of them don't have the experience on the sales. And that's where we provide that training. We provide that support to help educate them and to help teach them. And we're all about we have a monthly newsletter we send out to our agents, and it's about ways for them to help sharpen their skills, their sales skills, their presentation skills, how to sit there and find better carriers. We try to educate our agents so they can become better and more robust at their job.
Yeah. And that investment in training is key, because it's like, I mean, I know a lot of what not to do in this industry, but I don't know everything. And I'm always open to learning new things. And I think like training doesn't stop.
Right.
Like you are a high performance athlete as a business owner. All right. Like there's a reason why the top performing athletes out there practice their craft relentlessly, day in and day out. They don't take plays off. They're always LeBron James does not need to practice shooting. All right. But why does he? So when he's in the game, he doesn't lose an edge. And that's the exact same thing in the sales process. It goes a lot deeper than just quoting loads. In my opinion, onboarding customers is the easy part. Now, this is not what a lot of people want to hear. Cold calling, onboarding customers, that's the easy part. The real work starts when they start tendering you freight. And then from there, how do you take it? Because you're going to start with one load. No matter what you're promised, you're going to start with one load. And if you fail on that first load, chances are you might not see a second load. And if you do see a second load and anything goes wrong, you're not going to see a third. But how do you take it? How do you scale an account properly? Because realistically, the onboarding process is going to take 60 days. We'll call it a 60 to a 90-day onboarding process, depending on how complex the customer setup process is. Then from there, you got about another 90 days of prove it runway to gain access to more of their freight. But if you've never done that before at scale, if you've only worked with, hey, they send me a load list and, it's completely spot market, it's a completely different sale. It's a completely different sales process on top of that as well. So having people who have walked that walk before, that's what you need to align yourself with in business. Again, like I don't learn from somebody who theorizes about stuff. Like I never aligned with those college professors of mine who've never done that job. But my college professors who taught accounting, that was a CPA full-time, and he just taught because he had a love for teaching, learned everything. Same thing with the project manager who was a project manager of a large construction company who taught because he loved to teach, learned everything I could from them. That's how you need to align yourself in business.
Absolutely. I love how you talked about going in and talking to a customer and it starts one load at a time, because man, I've been in this business a long time and I've managed sales teams, and they go see a large customer and they go, oh man, this customer's got so much freight, I'm going after his biggest lane. And I chuckle. It's like, the guy's not going to give you his biggest lane right off the bat. If you're in a situation with you, he doesn't know you, he doesn't trust you, he's going to give you a problem lane or an area that he's having issues with. And you got to prove yourself one shipment at a time. And eventually, as he sits there and he sees you, he trusts you, realizes you're reliable, and he likes you, things will expand. So this business you got to be patient in it. You definitely have to be patient, and you have to have a continual cycle of new opportunities in the pipeline, because you can't rely on one customer to sit there and build your business. And some people that have, man, you know what? It's a risk. You got to diversify.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And, it's like, furthermore, Mike, I think that you can take that approach in the sales process and not say, what's your biggest problem, Lane? Like research your prospects, you guys. Find out if there's 9 facilities that they're moving freight out of and 8 of them are in a major metropolitan area, solicit the 9th that's in the sticks. We'll call it. That's the one you're going to start at, because like at the end of the day, nobody needs help with Houston to Chicago. Nobody needs help with Dallas to Atlanta. They're good. Their network is good. Why not get in the door on their less desirable freight and earn their business? Because guess what? You can do 1,000 Houston to Chicago's perfectly, but if you mess one of them up and you have the mentality of, oh, I've done 1,000 loads, I'm fine, and you take your foot off the gas, there's brokers out there like me who are swimming in your prospect's ear every single day, waiting for you to take your foot off the gas. And then I'm going to slowly choke you out. Exactly. That's how cutthroat this industry is. And that's why you have to take it one shipment at a time, every time.
100%, Chris. Yeah, I'm definitely on board with you on that.
Dude,
but it makes it fun though, man. You got to be hungry in this business, and you can't stop.
I mean, Mike, I've lost my book of business overnight because I got fat and happy, because I thought that I was, hey, we failed on like 7 loads. We're good. We're their biggest provider. They're going to be fine. Lo and behold, 3 weeks later, guess what? Hey, we're shutting you off for the next 90 days because your service is terrible.
Yeah.
What are you going to do? And then guess what? To one of Mike's earlier points, when 100% of your business came from like one customer, eerie situation that I experienced early on in my career. And my entire book of business is seemingly evaporated overnight. I went from the top dog to fucking below bottom of the barrel, and I had to restart and talk about
the pipeline. It's hard too, right?
Exactly. And that's the thing. You got to constantly be prospecting. Like, you're never good. If you ever reach a point in business, whether you're in freight sales or anything out there, the second you think you're good, you have now started regressing. Because you're never good. If that pipeline's not full, if you don't have 5 to 8 prospects who are ready and willing to turn you on at any waking moment, you are not good. If you're not have a team that's doing, we'll call it what it is, $500 million a year in sales, you're not good, because there's levels to this stuff. And I'm not saying everybody out there is going to want to build all of that out, but the mentality can't change. You have to keep that mentality of pushing forward no matter what, because if you don't, people out there are. And then you're going to wake up one day to an email in your inbox saying, sayonara, you're done. It doesn't matter. You did 10,000 truckloads for us. You're out.
Exactly. Wow. But you know what? The interesting thing with the agent model is you have that mindset where you are truly hungry, because you know what? If you're not sitting there making calls, you're not making money. Yeah. And you know what? You're going to be out the door, compared to having a salary job where, you know, you can fall back on your salary, but you know what? That'll only last for so long before, you know what? Changes happen. So you know what, is the agency for everybody? You know what, not everybody, but for the people that are hungry, who believe in themselves, who are confident, and who can go out there and build relationships and see the big picture, it's a license to make money, man. It's a license to print money, and they do really well at it.
And that's the thing, is it's like, it's a distinct mentality, because like there is, I can't say there isn't this opportunity out there. I try my best not to use blanket statements anymore, Mike, but it is very rare where you work at an organization as their highest performing sales rep and they never change your goal that takes money out of your pocket. It might be $50 here, $100 there. It may be a small amount, but then all of a sudden you're doing more in sales and you're making less money. Yeah. You know, that's why it's like, I found myself in that position. I just wanted more. I wanted to try. And I knew that, you know, and that's the thing, is it's like the agent model is a very strategic approach to dipping your toes in the water, you know. And if you have a book of business, or frankly, you know what, you have that killer mindset where you've built books of businesses from nothing, you weren't handed it. You're not a career account manager who just happens to be handed books of business. And if you have that killer instinct in you, you have to go for it.
Oh yeah. What industry do you know of, Chris, where you can go into a company, go into an industry, have your own business with no financial risk, utilizing the best technology in the world, and make up to 75% gross profit and get paid weekly? I don't know. Yeah. I wouldn't. Looking back after when I started this industry, I wish I would have got into this a long time ago. But the problem was I wasn't educated. You know what? I think that's probably one thing. The agency model is not something that everybody fully understands what the benefits are, what the commissions are like, how they're paid, the aspect of not having any risk. They just see, hey, be an agent, here, make commission, but they don't understand the background of it. And I think when we have these conversations with potential agents that want to come on, they're like blown away as to, oh my goodness, I get all that. This is awesome.
You know, and that's the thing is it's like you're talking about like what you guys have, that no money down style approach, which is true. Like I didn't mean to say style approach, but like you guys have that no financial risk to your own up front. Like you literally sit down with a fully functional tech stack, you know? And I think that's what it is people are out there talking to others, or maybe they've got a bad taste in their mouth from another situation that they might have found themselves in. But it's like, what does day one look like? If Chris Jolly started Freight Coach Logistics, I'm an agent for SPI. Now, what does my day one look like?
Day one, depending. I mean, obviously he's going to have some customers that already has or has a book of business, but I'm saying even before he starts on day one, I mean, the whole transition starts before that. They're spending time understanding our system. Our agent support team is not just spending a half hour with them, showing them the program and letting them on their own to sit there and try to figure it out. They're spending a good amount of time so that they're comfortable with the system, how to set up credit, who the key people are in the company. It all starts on that. So on day one, they're hitting the ground running and either sitting there and booking freight because their customers already are a part of the plan as to when they're going to start, or they're sitting there and starting making calls. But I believe that our transition from bringing an agent on board to the company starts a week before, and it's in depth. Like these people are fully trained and ready to go on day one with no hesitation and no lack of confidence or an aspect of feeling lost.
So like, what does the training look like? Is it like we're working with your team for a few days, like we're going over like, hey, this is how we build shipments, this is how we process everything? It's very hands-on, very in-depth?
It's very hands-on. It's done through Zoom, and it's done. So they're watching the screen, and we're on their computer watching them and showing them how to book loads in the system, and then they're doing it. We're watching them and critique them from there. Some people pick it up really quick. Some people it takes a little bit more time, but our agent support team is adaptable to that. And then we've created training videos on our system. So, I mean, they have access to all these training videos. If they're stuck and they want to watch a refresher, they have a wealth of information and videos to try to help them really get the mindset in their mind about how to sit there and utilize our system and the processes. It's straightforward. And like I said, some get it quick, some it take a little bit longer. It just depends. But you know what's interesting, Chris? You took a look, like before you and I started partnering up here, you took a look at our freight technology. Yeah. And I loved it. Like after you saw it, what were your thoughts on it?
My thoughts are you guys are fully functional and operational from day one. There's no, we're going to do this eventually. It's no. We're integrated with load boards. The workflow is seamless. All right. You are literally going to sit down in your TMS and you're going to be able to stay inside of your TMS to operate. That's how it should be. It's not having 17 different screens pop up out there, because that's what's going to cost you the most money is lost productivity. And unfortunately, that doesn't show up on a balance sheet. But the way that the workflow is, you can tell that there was a heavy emphasis on workflow optimization. For sure. Heavy emphasis. And it came down from initially pulling up a load to build to posting it out there to the load board, being fully integrated with ITS, DAT, and then I forget the other one, those Fork Heights, P44, everybody. You guys are already there. And that is what sets you guys apart, is it's essentially a multi-million-dollar tech stack, day one, ready for your agents. And that is what stuck out to me the most.
No, that's cool to hear that. I mean, our owner and our president have been heavily involved and believe in technology, and we're constantly evolving for that. And you go to the TIA, you even go to the TMSA and other conferences like that, you see the technology. It changes yearly. Yeah. There's so many new tools that are coming out. And you know what? Our IT programmer is constantly looking for new ways to even make it better. And we're willing to invest in it, because you invest in the best technology, you're going to get the best agents that are going to value it and use it. And it's going to help you grow in the shipper community too.
Yeah. In my opinion, Mike, 90% of our job as a broker should be automated. 10% manual is because there's always going to be something that you need. And what that does is that frees it up. So 90% of your time can be focused on the only thing that matters. And that is solidifying and growing your partnerships with your carriers and your customers. There should never be a conversation that's had of, check the app, this and that. That's where all your, no. When my carriers call me, I'm on the phone. What do you need, partner? Let's do this. When my customer reaches out, what are we doing? How's the weekend looking? Everything else. And it's about, we already got everything done, built up. It's assigned. It's coming your way. Tracking already in your inbox. We already got all those rules set up for you. Boom, it's done. Let's talk about everything that's not work, because that's where everything really starts to build up. And I think that, again, nothing's perfect. All right. At the end of the day, but you need to look into how the structure of these organizations are from day one. Because there are unfortunately empty promises that are out there, you guys, and you need somebody where you can sit down and literally start building and taking control of your financial future day one, minute one. You don't, as a business owner, when you don't have a paycheck coming in, because I've been there, I haven't made money. I've seen that when the direct deposits stop coming in and your bank account fucking torpedoes in the opposite direction of where you want it to. It puts a sense of urgency inside of you when your back's against the wall, that you need to know that the technology that you're paying for, and this is just my personal thing right now, is adding to my business. That frees up my time. Same thing inside of the agent model. You need to be able to develop revenue day one, and you can't be aligned with somebody who is working against you. All right. Like somebody who takes training as an afterthought. Training's everything. I've been in this industry for 15 years. I will gladly take more training if it's going to make me more efficient and more money. I won't question it one bit.
Oh, that's great. It's totally true. I don't know. I'm proud of the company, man. I'm proud of ownership and our president, Joe Chandler, who have just made this company into something special. We've made it easy to do business with. We really have. Our agents don't have a lot of roadblocks that are put in front of them. We try to make it as easy as possible for them to sit there, take charge of their business, grow their business, onboard carriers quickly, and give them all the support that they need. I mean, our agents have access to our cell phones. If they want to call the executive team on a Sunday morning at 10 o'clock in the morning because they got a question, we're there. We're there to answer for them. We want to invest in them because you know what? They're going to grow their business and we're all going to win. And I think that's great.
That's
what it's all about. You know what's cool, Chris, is I think what we're doing is awesome. And I think, you know what, we want, and we're all open to sitting there and having our agents, talk about how they got into this business, how they became a freight agent. What were some of the challenges and hurdles that they faced? What are some of the issues they went with? And what did they learn from them? I think if we can share that, we can really, catapult this whole agency program, across the nation to get more people to come on board. Cause I think it's truly, it's a win-win for everybody.
No, I agree with that, man. And I think that there's an opportunity out there. Like if you're finding yourself in this position where I found myself of what's next, what do I really want to do? What's out there? I've been selling for a long time. I know the industry. I don't know if I want to go out on my own, but I want to take control. These are the situations you need to be reaching out to. So Mike, if anybody's in that position right now, how do they find out more about, well, most importantly, you, because I think that he's sitting down and talking to you, you got this energy to you. And it's like, that's what attracts people. So it's like, how do they get a hold of you to find out more?
They can call me, they can email me, man. So my phone, I'll say my phone number on here. I have no problem. All right, it's 604-808-2677. Either call me, text me. My email address, mmikulik@spi3pl.com. Feel free to reach out. If you want to know more about our business, our program, or just, you're unsure, I'm always there to help, always there to talk. I think this business is great. And you know what? People can make a lot of money doing it and have that financial freedom they're looking for.
That's it. I'll put that information in the show notes for you guys. That's it for today. If you've made it this far, chances are you're already subscribed. But if you're not, subscribe and share this out there if and only if you see value in this, because at the end of the day, that's what I want, to create value-based content for this entire industry. And if you see value in it, your network is going to see value in it as well. Mike, thank you for joining me. I appreciate you guys all so much, and we'll be talking to you soon.